been there. I was in a relationship with a man that had absolutely no interest in that. And it's sort of like, well, it's still there, but it won't be for long. But it becomes, that can be kind of a different thing. And so we sort of have different stages of transition. And at all of those different stages, men have to be sort of handled differently, which is sort of, kind of trying. But we manage, and eventually, hopefully we find somebody that loves us for who we are and wants to stay with us. That's my hope, anyway. I'm not there yet, but anyway, back to being thankful. Obviously, friends, family, all the people in our group, our wonderful group. It's just been great, and I would like to say that one of the things that I am truly thankful is my relationship with God, and that has been a huge comfort to me. And I am thankful to God for letting me continue to be here. Here I am, another day, and I kind of like it here for the moment. So I'm kind of grateful for that. I wake up every morning and get to go do really cool things, and I'm kind of grateful for that. I'm grateful. I guess I'm grateful that I'm not dead. Kind of a cool thing. And
well, yeah.
And you know what? Here's a funny one. It's not funny to me, but there are people out there, and I'm sure it's not funny to you either. But there are people out there that will think this is funny, and that is that I'm grateful for being trans. I really am. I think there is a yearning still, within all of us. I feel this. Sort of the Pinocchio factor. You feel like the little wooden girl that wants to be a real girl. And to paraphrase Pinocchio slightly, but so there's always sort of a yearning that God, I wish I could have been born an XX, and grown up as a little girl and been a young woman and gone through all that. But the sort of the experience that I've had being trans, that sort of that dual role thing, and being able to experience both sides of the fence. Although, the truth of the matter is that we never really were men at any time in our lives. So we don't completely experience that, but we have walked among you and, lived in your shoes, and so we do know probably a bit more than most about that side of the fence. But there is a whole life experience in that I think makes our lives a bit richer.
I agree. I probably come at it from a slightly different direction, and from more of an existence direction. I can't help but wish that I had been born with a body that matched my brain. But if I had been, then the person I am wouldn't exist.
Right.
I like the person that I am. I like that I'm alive. And so really, if I was really put to it and given the option, I can't say I'd change anything. Right. I like who I am. Yeah. And I like that I'm alive. And I like that I can eventually correct the painful and humiliating birth defect that I was born with eventually.
Right.
But my life is good because I get to live as the gender that I am.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's very, very well put. And that's another thing that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I live, that I live in the 21st century. I mean, I grew up mostly in the 20th century, and I'm living in the 21st century. And it's wonderful because of the things, the technology that exists and what we can do, and that we can correct this. Certainly, right. 100 years ago, that wasn't the case. But yeah, exactly. Where we have been makes us who we are, mm-hmm. and I certainly am one to never second guess fate. It's like, this is where I am, and you can't go back and change it. If you go back and change anything, God only knows what you're going to get, and so, yeah, who knows? You might not be here.
Right. Would I have gone to grad school?
Yeah.
Would I have been driven to get a job at a major agricultural biotech company? Would I have the success I've had? Would I know the friends that I do? I mean, I have you and Tara, who are family to me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd lose a lot if I went back and changed anything.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So, I guess the thing here is we're not going to go back and change anything. So we're just going to kind of leave things alone, and we won't be playing with time or anything. Not tonight, anyway. Anyway, so there are lots of things, to be thankful for, and certainly, being trans is not really a bad thing. And I was hoping we could kind of do more of an upbeat show tonight and talk about the good things, and being trans really isn't a bad thing. Certainly there are people out there that will disagree with me. There's no doubt about it. There are some people out there that have been through hell, and I understand that. And I don't want to diminish anything anybody has been through.
Right. But we don't want to issue a counsel of despair either, because if you're trans and you're realizing it, it's not a death sentence. You can get through it, and you can make your life what you need it to be.
That's right.
And it can be okay. Yeah. And things are changing all the time. So don't let the horror stories make you think you can't get through this.
Right.
That's what I worry about when people talk about how bad it can be. Certainly there are some bad things that can and have happened, but...
Exactly. And there are bad things that happen to people that are born, into the bodies that they should have been in.
Right.
The normal street people. I hate the word normal because it suggests that we're not normal, and I think that's a fallacy. But the vast majority of people, some of them go through hell too. So I think that yeah, exactly. You don't want everybody thinking that we're all about doom and gloom, because we're not. And the truth is, we're pretty happy, most of us. There are some out there that have been through a lot and that are miserable, and there are some out there that make their own misery too. There are some that just wallow in self-pity, and if that doesn't just go for trans people either.
Right.
But there are a lot of people that relish that they can only be happy if they're miserable. That's kind of a strange thing, isn't it?
But I think we've all known people like that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we have to be responsible for our own decisions, right?
Absolutely.
And some people complain, and understandably, that appearance, if you can't ever pass properly, life can be more difficult. And I understand that complaint. But there are always things. There are still things you can do about that. There are surgical interventions, for instance, to restructure your face.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I understand that. I know that was one of the things that held me back for a long time. Back years ago, I was absolutely convinced. Looking at myself in the mirror, I was absolutely convinced that I could never do it.
Me too. Part of it, though, was, for me, I was bodybuilding at the time. I needed something to suppress what I was going through, and my shape was just not conducive to it. I was convinced my face would never pass, and eventually I just got to the point where I didn't care.
Yeah. But I think an awful lot of us go through that, and it's hard. That is a very, very hard thing, to have to look at yourself and say, I've got this male body, and or obviously female if you're an F to M,